you just got a revise and resubmit, that you've got a ton of revisions to make and you feel super overwhelmed, where do you start? What do you do? You're going to learn all about that right now. Hey everybody, I'm Leigh Hall from teachingacademia.com, and I'm all about giving you the tools you need to navigate academia and make your best impact. Today, we've got another round of academic Twitter coming at you, and let's take a look at this particular issue. All right, so here's the tweet. Just got major revisions on a manuscript. I'm not sad because the comments are great and will improve the manuscript, but I do feel overwhelmed. Any advice on how to approach it? This is my very first time. All right, so first of all, congratulations, because the goal when you submit a manuscript for publication is not to get an accept. Okay, secretly, we all wish that would happen, right? But that's not realistically going to happen, right? And when it does happen, it might happen once in your whole career, if it happens at all. Okay? So all we're trying to do here is not get rejected. That is the number one goal straight out of the gate. And you know what, Kim Tommy, you have hit that out of the park, right? You did not get rejected. Congratulations. But what happens then when you get this revise and resubmit, you have major revisions, you have pages upon pages upon pages upon pages of revisions, and it's crazy and it's super overwhelming. So what do? Okay, now some people in the comment thread are recommending, hey, celebrate, take a day off, take a couple of days off, take a week off, kind of step back from it. That's fine. That's good. Nothing wrong with that. Definitely don't take more than a week off before you get to it. But then when you get to it, it still can seem really overwhelming. So what do? All right. So I recommend that you make a chart of revisions that have been requested by you and how you have addressed them. And let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. All right, so this is what I've done here. And you will notice, first of all, this is 19 pages, okay? So this was a manuscript that was a revise and resubmit. It's now in press. It's coming out in a couple of months. I have been doing it this way, communicating revisions and sort of setting up a chart like this to help me deal with revisions for, I don't know, 13, 14 years now. This was something someone taught me, and I've always used it. It works beautifully. So the first thing that I do is, I take that letter, and this is going to take you 1 or 2 days. It's probably going to take you at least 3 hours to do. So you might end up splitting it up across 2 days. And you can see here, I've got reviewer 1. Now, lucky me, I had 4 reviewers plus the editors giving me feedback on my paper, right? So what I do is I break it down. Here's reviewer 1, and I have the revision that was requested and what I actually did, okay? And so what I will do initially is I will sit down and I will break out everything that reviewer said and group it as it makes sense. So you'll see some of these are really long and some are much shorter. So this is all topically related. It's the same thing. It's really long, okay? But it's all about the same issue, whatever issue it is. I'm not going to reread it now because I'm done with this. But you can see that when I explain my revision, it's just a paragraph, okay? So your response may be longer or shorter or similar to in length the actual revision requested statements. Don't get caught up on that. Just get caught up in did I address the revision and did I explain that in an adequate manner, okay? And so I kind of go through and I break this up. And so they're different lengths, right? So here's something very specific to page 2. And this is all about the same thing, right? So I put that in one box. And then I have a series of revisions here that took place on pages 6 through 7. And this person had questions. But the questions were all different, right? So I grouped them, right? Here's a box with one question in it. Here, we're still talking about the same thing. Here's another question. Here's another question, right? But it's all coming off this person having questions about that app that I used as part of the study. So I just split it up, right? And so as you go through here, right, you can see this page 8. I've got a couple of questions to make revisions on page 8. But they're different kinds of questions. So I split them based topically, right? I grouped them based on topic. And so I did this for all the reviewers. And we'll go through here, just scroll down real quick and you'll see that like reviewer 1 has a lot But then here's reviewer 2, okay? And then there's 3 and 4, and then all the way at the very, very end, after we get, there's reviewer 4, after we get to reviewer 4, then the editors have some specific things that they had said in their letter that they wanted me to pay attention to. So I do the editors last. I read the letter from the editors to help me understand how to prioritize reviewer comments. Then I go through, I do all the reviewer comments. Sometimes I have to refer back to the letter from the editors, right, to sort of figure out what to do if there's conflicting comments. But then I do this last. I kind of go through and make sure that everything the editors prioritized and said was important to them is explained and addressed, okay? Now, what this does is it lets me, first of all, right, I've chunked out the revisions, I've grouped them by reviewer, and I can now start going through them. It doesn't have to be linear. I can do it however I want. But it lets me see that I am addressing all the revisions, that I did not leave something out, all right? And the other thing is that when you have to resubmit, you obviously have to explain how you address reviewers' comments. I pretty much always just submit this table, right? You might have to reformat it or something like that, but everything's there. Editors universally love this strategy, right? I actually get feedback on how much they appreciate this, how it's easy to read, how they can see that I did address the revisions. They don't have to search to see if I addressed the revisions. The revisions are, what was requested, right? Yeah, I'll go up here to reviewer 4, only had 1, right? But it's all right here, right? The reviewers don't have to try to guess, hey, did the author do what I asked? They go, oh, hey, because they get this document. So, hey, look, these are the things that I made. These are the changes that she's telling me she's made. And this is where she's telling me I can find them, right? So it's a win-win, right? So I highly recommend this letter. You can't lose with it. All right, so I hope you find this approach helpful. I know I find it to be useful because it really helps me manage my revisions, helps me stay on top of things, and it really makes me feel less overwhelmed. One of the things that I like to do once I've made my table is print it off, and then I will just cross off the revisions as I've done them, and it really helps me feel like I'm making progress. It minimizes that overwhelmed feeling. The other thing too is that if you only have an hour or an hour and a half, you can look for something that a revision that you can do that can be done very quickly, or like 2 or 3 revisions that can be done very quickly in a short amount of time. So you can pick revisions based on, kind of what mentally you're ready for, what makes sense, or how much time you have. It's really a great approach. I highly recommend that you give it a try. So if you like this video and you want to see more, click right here, and I will see you over in the next one.